Hello, mothers raising teen daughters. I am Kiana Shaw, CEO of LeadHership Academy and the creator of this great group. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I put my earpiece on because it's a little bit too hot not to have the air on. So hopefully y'all can hear me. I wanted to just kind of share because in the group there was a recent post from a mom whose daughter, I think she's 15. She's dating a guy who's 18. And I just kind of wanted to share my own personal story dealing with that because the reality is that oftentimes we have, we forget how we did when we were younger. So I just wanted to share. Janika, can you hear me okay? I know that you're on, and hi, thank you for joining. But I just want to be sure that you can hear me okay because I'm on the earpiece. So if you could just throw me some hearts or something, if you can, that'd be great. But I'll keep going just in case you can. So I was dating. I was 14. I met this guy as a part of the youth group. He wasn't in the youth group, but his friends were, and he was just gorgeous. He was football player. He was I don't know. Let's see. He was just a great guy. Like I thought at the time. He was my first love. But I want to just kind of talk about, this mindset around the age that we are doing things and how we can help our daughters understand better about what we're doing and why we have pushback about certain things that they're doing. So, he was 17 at the time when we started dating. 2 months later, he turned 18. A month or 2 weeks after that, a week and a half after that, I turned 15. And shortly after my 15th birthday, matter of fact, my birthday was January 8th. I lost my virginity January 28th to him. And the 15 and the age difference, let me just say, I lost my virginity to him because I was curious about sex, not because I was ready to have sex, right? And my father knew that I was dating him. My mother knew that I was dating him. They knew the age difference. I don't think my mother knew the exact age, but my dad did. And my father started having conversations with me about how men want to marry virgins or a woman that only they have been with, and how the likelihood of me marrying him was slim to none just because of his personality, how he saw the world. And so my dad was having like these serious conversations with me that I did not believe. I didn't believe him because I felt like, what does my dad know? Like, I'm gonna just be honest. That was my feeling. I don't know if you guys are commenting because I see, hey, Adrian, thank you for joining. Oh, okay. I just saw Adrian's comment. Okay, good. Thank you. So, when we did have sex, it was in my mother's house, and she was gone that evening, and I invited him over, and I knew that we were going to have sex that night. We did not use a condom. I'm just trying to remember like some of the details from that time, but we ended up having sex, and then I was like, I'm not doing this again. And then like a couple of days later, we was back at it, and then it started to feel good. So now we're doing it more and more often. I remember when my mother found out that I was no longer a virgin, and I remember being on the other extension, because this is back when we had house phones, and I could pick up the other extension and hear my mother and father having a conversation. And my mother stated, I remember picking up and I heard her say, as far as I'm concerned, it's rape. It is statutory rape, and I will report it. And my dad said, we cannot ruin this kid's life when she made a decision for her body. He didn't rape her, even though it is statutory rape. Now, keep in mind, my dad was a deputy. And so he knew the laws, but he also knew that kids do stuff. They get excited, their hormones go. And so when I see us like constantly saying, call the police, I understand that is a tactic, but we have to be mindful, because we really could have ruined his life when I really wanted to make this decision. Now, I said earlier, I was more curious than ready. And if I look back on it, he still would have got it. Right? Like, I still would have gave it to him. He would have got my virginity. My mind was set on that. There was nothing. If we'd have waited, he'd have still got it. I just loved me some him. And in my next book, you can kind of read the story just about how this whole relationship played out. But I remember when I heard that conversation, I immediately, as soon as my mother was out of the house, I called my friend Ahmad. Ahmad was someone that I had grew up with. And I said, Ahmad, if my mother presses this statutory rape issue, I'm going to say that I had sex with you. I'm going to say, I'm not a virgin, but I had sex with Ahmad. Why? Because Ahmad was under 18. He was 16. And so I had already in my mind had a whole plan about how this situation was going to go and how this was going to break out. And so my point is, as we get ready to, as our daughters are exploring their bodies and as they are taking charge of what they want to do with their bodies, let's be mindful that they can be very crafty. Who would have thought that I would have called a friend? My mother would ever, if I told her this story today, she'd be like, what? But I did. I was like, Ahmad, because just in case they do a test or something, like, I need to be able to say I have had sex with somebody. Now, I wasn't thinking DNA test back then. I was just thinking, if they can tell that I'm not a virgin, I need to be able to say it was with someone other than him. I was protecting him. And in protecting him, I don't know what that is. In protecting him, I had came up with a whole plan. And so we have to stop thinking that our daughters are going to stop because we're mad. They're not. We have to educate. And I remember I went and got birth control by myself. I forged my mother's name on the form, on the letter to give me birth control, because back then you had to ask permission. Now, at 12 years old, they no longer have to ask your permission for birth control, and it is illegal for your provider to report it to you. So there's all kind of things in place. And listen, I get it that, I'm the one paying the medical bill, but there are a lot of kids whose parents will beat them literally to death over losing their virginity. And because of the amount of parents that don't talk to their kids but react with a very violent and immediate and violent consequence, that is why everything is set up the way it is. So you might think, well, I would never do that to my kid. But when you have so many kids who have died at the hands of their parents because they have lost their virginity, as if this is not a normal part of life, then laws start being created. Right? That's why we can't whoop our kids like we used to, because parents were taking it overboard. And now you got kids running around with broken body parts or death because their parents don't know how to communicate and they're just beating them. And so we have to be mindful of how we approach these things. If we take the approach of, let me educate my daughter. If you have not sat down and watched the series 13 Reasons Why with your teenage daughter, you are missing an opportunity to communicate with her. If you have not sat down and watched the show Switched at Birth, then you are missing an opportunity to communicate with her. Those are two shows, and I think I can find my my post on 13 Reasons Why and my thoughts, because I just started season 2 literally last night. So I'm going to watch season 2 and I'll post my thoughts. But season 1, I posted my thoughts on that last year. We just have to be mindful. Our kids are in a day and age where they have social media. They all have their own cell phones. And if we're going to provide those platforms for them and say it's okay, then we have to be prepared to deal with some of the fallout from it. And we also have to prepare to teach them why those platforms are not okay all the time. Our kids are exposed to so much. Sex is not to them. They don't look at sex the way we did. They don't look at sex as an intimate thing between two people. They're just like, I just got to do it. Like, I can't be a 17-year-old virgin. Like, that's how they think, literally. I just can't be a 17-year-old virgin. I got to be able to, get this done with. And it's like, wait a minute. You don't feel that this is something that he should deserve, and that they don't feel that way. And truth be told, a lot of us didn't feel that way. A lot of us did not feel that way. So we really need to be mindful in how we approach it. So I remember my mom saying, I'm going to report it as statutory rape. And my dad saying, we cannot do that. We cannot ruin this kid's life. And I remember, like, when I finally had a conversation with my dad about having sex and stuff, and he said, listen, I'm not trying to protect something that can't be protected. Your virginity is yours to hold or give away. My job as your dad is to teach you why you should wait. Is to teach you why you should hold it. Is to teach you why he doesn't deserve it. But if I start there, you're not going to listen. And I would not have. Like, he was really honest with me. I remember we were on the 105 freeway in LA, driving, and we were having this conversation. He was very honest with me. And if we're not going to at least open up and be honest with our daughters, I mean, how many of us have told our daughters, listen, sit on your bed, get a mirror, look at your vagina, see how it works. Here goes some information. Like, just let's talk about the emotional aspects of sex. How many of us have done that? Sex creates connections with people that you may not necessarily want. Okay, you're dating a guy. How many of us have sat with our daughters and said, write down everything you want in a mate? What do you find attractive? How do you want him to think? What do you want his emotional state to be? Do you want him to come from a 2-parent home or a 1-parent home? Because just because he came from a 2-parent home doesn't mean his dad didn't beat his mom. Right? If we don't sit down with our daughters and say these things and teach them how to look at it. I remember my niece I did this with my niece years ago. And when she was dating this guy who reminded me of my brother at that age, by the way, they were trying to get her to break up with him. And I simply asked her, remember that list that we had made? Is he the list? Go back to the list. Let me get it for you, because I still had a copy. Let me get it for you, because you made this list at 14, and at 18 you dating a dude that has none of these qualities, right? And so I had to show her the list so that she could understand that what she said she wanted, she's not getting. She's settling. And if there was anything my mother could have done at that time, she could have said, listen, let me tell you about my relationship with your father. How I got there, the mistakes we made, why I regret it. Even with the blessing of my children coming out of it. This is why I regret it. So we can't be so excited and up in arms because our daughters are ready to explore their bodies. We have to educate them. And reporting every dude because he's 18, I get it. The law is the law. But so is, when families get arrested for a crime, they don't get to go home to their kids at night. But we all up in arms about that as well. It doesn't make it right. Let's go with the spirit of the law. And it was made to make sure that people were not legally molesting kids. But in a lot of countries, in Jamaica, child molestation ain't even a thing. Like, yeah, granddaddy's just sleeping with their granddaughter sometime. And it's not even a thing. So we have to be mindful. And I'm not suggesting that we go there. Like, let's be clear. I'm just saying that when our daughters lose their virginities, that's not the time to freak out. And I understand that we think of all the things that can go wrong with it. STDs, we think of pregnancies. But how many of us stop and go, All right, let's take a life plan. Let's figure it out. Right? And if you haven't already done that and she's already having sex, okay, fine. But from here on out, can we just have real open and honest conversations with our daughters? And can we say, okay, I get it, that this is what you have done, and let's talk about this. Tell me why you're doing it. If you know that your daughter has been sexually violated, maybe this is how she is trying to own her body. Can we get her, not put her in counseling now that she started to have sex, because we missed that door. We missed that window of opportunity. But if we stop and go, let's talk about why you're gonna continue. Are you gonna continue? Do you need birth control? Can we have an honest conversation about birth control? Are you using condoms? Do you think you'll use a condom every time? Has he had any STD checks? Have you? Can we just go so that I know that at least you don't have any STDs, you don't have HIV or anything like that? Can we just be responsible about this? Not that I'm condoning it, but I understand that you're going to find a way. They're going to find a way when it's what they really want to do. And if our mindset is, she can't do it because I said so. And I get it. It's crushing for your daughter. I mean, when I found out my niece was having sex, I was so hurt. Actually, any of them that have had sex, I'll just be like, come on now. But I can't share that with them. It's how I feel, but that's their body. And so we really need to be mindful of how we approach it and what we say. And listen, they didn't just start with the idea and the thoughts of sex today. My first opportunity to have sex was when I was 13. And I almost did it. Like, yeah, he had them light brown eyes and curly hair at the time. Like, yeah, it was a situation. It was a whole situation. And I had to be, at that time, I just wasn't ready. And when I finally did it, I wasn't ready. I just felt that I was. Looking back, I can go, oh, okay, yeah, that wasn't a good idea. But at the time, I just wanted to. And our daughters want to. They want to feel that. They want to explore it. They see all this kissing. Like, you can't even have a shampoo commercial without somebody having an orgasm. Really? Over shampoo? But this is what they're exposed to every day. And when we watch scandal in front of them, when we watch, whatever the issue is, whatever the show is, when we are not mindful of what we project to them, what we allow them to see, this stuff happens. But it's going to happen anyway. Now they're just more curious. They're getting curious even earlier. So we just have to think about it. We have to come up with another way to deal with it, other than just because I said so, or stop because I don't want you to do it. We just have to be more, just more honest with ourselves. I don't see any comments, but thank you, Janika. Thank you, Adrian, for joining. Hey, Rara. Hey, Sandra. Oh, okay. So now there's some comments popping up. Let's see. Hey, Gianna, I am going to still call you. Just give me a minute. I'm parked in front of my daughter's school. I'm going to go and get her, and then I'll come out and talk and I'll give you a call. I'll inbox you my number. Thank you. Very good very good segment. I'm going to have to save these videos for when my little one gets older. Absolutely. Please do. What else? There was something else I wanted to address aside from the statutory rape issues. Listen, a lot of our daughters are watching the Kardashians, and they're watching videos and things like that, and they really don't see their image of beauty in what is projected as beauty into the world. And we didn't see our image of beauty. I mean, I'm a size 16 at 240 pounds, 238 now because I lost some weight last week. But at this size, at this weight, I don't see my image of beauty. And it took a long time for me to create my own standard of beauty. And if we don't start letting our daughters look in the mirror, I let my daughter walk around naked all the time because I want her to get used to her own body. I don't want her to feel like she has to cover up, but I also want her to know what it feels like to be naked, so she ain't in these streets trying to be naked either. You understand what I'm saying? And so they don't see this image and standard of beauty that we tell them is beautiful. We tell them that their bodies are beautiful. We tell them that they are beautiful. But they don't see that standard when they look on TV. And so we have to start reminding them that's airbrush. Tyra Banks did a book called Tyras Beauty Inside Out. My mother gave that to me when I think I was 18 or 19. So it's probably been 20 years. But if you can find it on Amazon or something, it is an excellent book for teen girls, because Tyra talks about why she doesn't walk down a runway without something behind her, because she talks about her cellulite. She shows how her moles and all these things are airbrushed out, and like how much work, like it is just like, whoa, so you don't look like this every day? You just look like this every time I see you because you got a whole glam squad. Kim Kardashian does not look the way she looks when she get out the pool on most days, because some days, just when she wakes up, the way she does when she's out on the red carpet, there's a totally different look. And so we just have to be mindful of the images that we're allowing to be force-fed to our daughters. Hey, Chantrell, thanks for joining. The images that we're allowing to be force-fed to our daughters, because in those images is a lot of chaos. There's a lot that goes behind the images, right? There's a lot of thought process. Who knows how Kim K feels about herself, but she can't feel all that fabulous because she had all that work done. So that makes a huge difference. We got to remind our daughters, she had butt implants, so she wasn't happy with her body at one point either. Not that I'm telling you to go get butt implants. I'm just saying that she didn't have all this. She bought this body. She not walking around with her original parts either. It's just so time that we get real with our daughters and have just straight up conversations. I swear, I want to save these videos and repurpose them for our daughters. Like I really wish that I could get this membership site going so that we could get this stuff done. But anyway, I'm here at Kayla's school to pick her up. I will chat with you guys later. I hope y'all can still hear me okay, because I'm getting like several text messages coming through. But I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Feel free to ask questions. I think I'm going to start responding in video messages more and more. I just don't ever have my hair combed. Like, I take my wig off and then underneath it just be a mess. So I don't be live ready, so to speak. But I just think that sometimes y'all just gonna have to catch me with my hair all over my head, sticking straight up. It is what it is. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. You ladies soon. Bye, moms.